Picture this. You're making good money, working 50 hours a week and following traditional retirement advice that says save at least 5 to 10% until age 65. Every raise leads to bigger expenses, a larger house, a nicer car, more stuff, but your path to financial freedom feels longer, not shorter. If you're trading your healthiest years for a paycheck while wondering if there's a better way, this video's for you. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Justin Saffel. After growing up checking food stamp balances at public phones, I transformed my financial future through financial independence, retire early principles, and systematic investing. Today, at age 38, as a financially independent investment advisor managing over $5 million in assets, I help working professionals escape living paycheck to paycheck and make work optional decades sooner without extreme frugality. Through my FIRE OS systems, financial independence, retire early operating system, I'll show you exactly how to cut decades off your retirement timeline without sacrificing quality of life, the same approach that helped my clients retire at age 45. The math proves that most professionals could retire decades earlier, but the longer you wait to implement these strategies, the more healthy years you'll trade for a paycheck you don't need. Today, I'm breaking down the 3 key principles that will completely change how you think about retirement. Let's start with something most people never calculate: your real hourly wage and why it matters more than your salary. You see, most people think they know exactly what they make per hour. Your salary might look great on paper. Maybe you make $100,000 or more per year, but there's a critical calculation that changes everything about how you view your time and money. So let's look at what your time is actually worth when you factor in the full costs of working. If you make $100,000 per year working 40 hours per week, you might be thinking that you're making, say, $48 per hour. But if you're not counting the hour-long commute each way, the time you spend getting ready, the hours you need to decompress after a stressful day, add in the money you spend on work clothes, convenience meals because you're too tired to cook, and that expensive coffee habit you've developed to stay alert, as well as taxes, suddenly your real hourly wage drops to like $25 per hour. This matters because when you buy that $100 dinner out, you're not spending $100, you're spending 4 hours of your life. That new $40,000 car, that's 1,600 hours of your life you traded for it. Most people never make this calculation, so they keep trading their life energy for things that don't actually make them happier. Once you understand your real hourly wage, every spending decision becomes clearer because you're measuring it in life energy, not dollars. This shift helps you automatically make better choices about how you spend your money and your time. But knowing your real hourly wage isn't just the first step. Next, we need to talk about defining what enough really means for you. Society pushes us to constantly upgrade our lives with bigger houses, nicer cars, and better stuff. The average professional's family increases their spending with every raise, thinking it'll make them happier. This leads to the biggest trap keeping us from early retirement. Here's what typically happens. You get a raise, so you buy a bigger house or a better car. The bigger house needs more furniture, higher utility bills, more maintenance. Your nice new neighborhood makes you feel like your old car looks out of place, so you upgrade that too. Each upgrade creates a chain reaction of expenses, and suddenly your $20,000 raise is gone, but you're not any happier. The research shows that we adapt to lifestyle upgrades within about 6 months. So that 3,000 square foot house feels just as normal as your old 2,000 square foot house did, but now you're stuck working extra years to pay for it. I've seen clients trapped in jobs they hate because they're paying for upgrades they don't even notice anymore. By setting clear baselines for major expenses that align with your happiness, not your ego, you can save years of mandatory working life. A family of 4 can be perfectly happy in a 2,000 square foot home, driving a reliable but modest car, and taking meaningful vacations without luxury resorts. Once you've defined your enough, you can focus on 2 most important levers for early retirement: time and critical mass. Everyone wants to know the secret to retiring early, but they're usually looking in the wrong place. While most people obsess about finding the perfect investment or timing the market, only 2 factors really matter: when you start and how much you invest. The math here is pretty simple, but most people don't want to hear it because it means changing their habits today. If you're saving just 5 to 10% of your income, you're on track to work until 65 or later. There's no investment return, or it's not likely you're going to get an investment return that can save you. But if you save 40% of your income or 20+% of your income, which is doable for most professionals making $75,000 or more, you can retire in about 20 years. That means that if you're starting at 25, you can retire at 45, start at 35 and retire at 55. The key is automating your investments before lifestyle inflation eats into your raises. People often push back, saying that it's not possible to save 20 to 40% of your income. But remember what we learned about real hourly wage: most of what you're spending isn't making you any happier. So by focusing on the 2 simple levers, starting as early as possible and saving as much as possible, you can cut out decades off of your working life without sacrificing the quality of your life. The math here is clear. A 40% savings rate invested in basic index funds is worth more than any fancy investment strategy. By the way, if you found this helpful, I've put together a free fire starter course that dives deeper into these concepts. Just click the link in the descriptions below. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly newsletter where I share more strategies just like these that aren't on YouTube.